So good to see you.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic.
How
fantastic.
are you?
I'm very well. I'm super happy to talk with you today, and I'm fine. I'm fine. Here is a mild mid blue sky, mid cloudy day, but the spring, you know, it's full. So we are happy. We are happy. How are you doing?
Good. It was a busy day. It's rainy today, so
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but I have been so many times to Frankfurt am Main and Offenbach. I've been there, and you know it's so green around the hills, the landscape.
That's true. That's
and
really nice to go cycling.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. The Romische part by Ernst May, the Südlungen area, it's fantastic. I love it. I love it.
Great.
So, well, we are here for this new ideas talk. It's the first talk of a series of 6 talks in the next 3 weeks. So you are the first one. I'm very honored to start with you. And I think it's fantastic. And well, let's say that the good chance is to start talking about the first work you did with Pedrali, which is Blume. But let's start. I will introduce you. I don't know. I know that you don't need it, but you know, as a welcome, as a formal way, it's nice to introduce you if you don't mind. Just a very short things. But you are horribly super young because you are 39, 1981. You was born very close to from Frankfurt. With Bad Morgentheim is 50 kilometers close, no? So it's very close.
It's very close. Yeah, it's touching.
Yeah. And you studied in Offenbach in the product design, and after a very short period in London, in 2006 you opened your office. So very fast and furious start, I would say. Fantastic. And well, I was very impressed because you have an amazing curricula. The list of the companies you have been working with is amazing, which shows the quality of the work you are doing, probably the coherency, but then I will come back to that. So small furnitures, lamps, but also interior design and exhibition settings. So a wide range around, let's say, the good living, I would say. And well, but it's very important. You know, good living makes a happy life. So it's I think it's super important. So a set of fantastic companies: Cappellini, Fontanarte, Hames, Moroso, Tonnet, Rosenthal. They don't know your long list. And last year's congratulations, Designer of the Year, Maison Objet Paris, which is a fantastic arrival or starting again, a new starting point. So the long list, but let's go to your. If everybody wants to go to your website, that has everything, all the information there. But just to tell that you are an amazing designer who, in a way, kept the line and keep on working with a very coherent line. Let's say today we start talking about the first work you are doing with Pedrali, which is Blume. Blume in German, who the ones doesn't know, means flower, and it's related to a set of chairs and the lounge chairs and set of tables, which personally I was very impressed by. I had the chance to see them, as you know, and I was very impressed. But well, since Pedrali is very keen in choosing the designer, because I know they are like with a flower, no? Petal after petal, one after one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They take a good time.
I'm the lucky one. They picked me now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I think they are both lucky. But could you tell us about how the collaboration with Pedrali started? Because it's always very interesting to understand how a designer chooses a producer and vice versa.
Yeah. Thank you, Luca, for the introduction, for the great words. Well, it actually took a while with Pedrali to start the project. I know Monica and Giuseppe and also Roberto, who's the agent for the German market for a couple of years, and we always met by coincidence on the fair, also once in Stockholm on the fair, and we always had a nice chat, a very down-to-earth, nice, private conversation about our work, about life, about everything, and this, I think, is always a good starting point. So it was very familiar. And last year, I had the chance to go to Milan to visit their factory close by and to look behind the scenes. And I think that's always a fantastic starting point to understand the company, where they come from, also the history of the brand, but also the amazing job what Monica and her brother Giuseppe did over the last decade. You know, it's really fascinating to have a company producing in-house. They have this workshop close to Milan and the other one in Friuli for wood. So I think this is very sustainable also. And I think this is very important for a designer nowadays, where the products are coming from, where's the production, who are the people behind the scenes. So it's not just about the designer and the design director, it's also all the craftsmen, which are the ones doing the products. You know, I have the sketch and then I develop it together with Victoria from the prototyping team of Petrali. But at the end, there are the people who are upholstering every single piece, who are spraying the metal, screwing it together, wrapping it. So it's always nice to go there and to see also the philosophy, how is the situation there, how are the people next to each other, and really to understand the brand. And to understand also, is there a vision, where do they want to go? Because it's important for a designer to have someone who is responsible, who has a vision, who really believes in you. So it was an amazing opportunity now to work on our first project together, Blume.
Yeah, but this is very interesting. I think it's what you are saying now is very important, because it's always a matter of feeling and human relationship first, no?
Exactly, definitely.
And I personally, getting older and older, I feel that at the end of the day, the most important things are human relationship, because when you meet people that has a vision, and the vision is coherent with the place, with the philosophy, with the people working with the result, then you feel that it's a place where you like to work with, no?
Yes, definitely. And just 5 minutes ago, before our talk, Monica texted me a message, good luck. So this is so cute, you know, it's you see the, that it's really connected like a family. And I think that's the best way also to work together. And at the end, it's also the most successful product. If you have a good harmony, you can be also creative. Of course, you need also discussions, and you fight, and it's not just always one line.
That's normal.
There are
That's
ups
normal.
and downs, like a relationship, like normal life, but it's very close, and I think with respect, and I think that's very important.
But because I have the feeling that you need time to do the things you do. But I mean, the things you design are just apparently simple, but that kind of simplicity which need time, lot of craftsmanship, attention, and the good obsession for details, which brings the final result. No, so
exactly.
And the time sometimes is a gold mine for this time, because everybody is rushing, and it seems that in this case you had a good time to work on that.
Yes, and I was so fascinated by the factory itself. There are the craftsmen, but on the other hand, you have also the machines. You have the warehouse, you have the machines, you have the robots who do the welding and bending. And this was also somehow the starting point. So my product is something industrialized, but also with a lot of passion and craftsmanship involved. Yeah. So the starting point was the idea of extrusion of an aluminum tube. And normally the legs of a chair, they are round metal tubes, so standard tubes you can find, and you order, and you have different diameters. And for me, it was interesting to think about their own profile, which gives a certain elegance and uniqueness to the chair. And then we came up with the flower-like or column-like shape. It's like, I don't know, if you have a lot of pencils together, you get a decoration like this, like a wavy one, like a flower.
Absolutely.
And this idea we transferred to the profile, extruded in aluminum, so we can work also with anodization, different surfaces. And here are some of the first samples I received from Victoria, from Petrali.
Fantastic.
What they did, and this is a kind of golden brass finish on the aluminium, but there's also a brown or a matte black, so different colors, and it's so elegant and nice detail how the profile works with light and shadow.
Okay, so because we need, since we don't have the chairs in front of us, and everybody will see it on the website soon, immediately, because we are launching also the Blume. Can you do a kind of a portrait of Blume without showing it, because since we cannot show them, can you try to depict it? I close my eyes and you describe it for me and for the other 1,000 people listening, just to give an idea, or because I know that everything was born from this element, which is an amazing profiled extruded element, which is the size of the flower, but it can, to me, remind, for example, a column. But since I'm an architect, it's my obsession. But the flower is perfect. But so this was the start. Was it the starting point, I mean, let's first. Sorry, I'm overlapping too many things. So let's start describing the chair, and then we enter in the process, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for me, the starting point was actually the extrusion, and to have somehow, I don't know, not simple legs, but to have elegant legs, sexy legs, something different to other chairs, you know?
Okay.
So the detail is really on the legs and on the surface of the legs, which are energized in different colors. So it gives really it's quite sophisticated and new and fresh. And then we have very simple upholstered seating elements with a nice piping, with as a reference, the piping also to the lines of the legs. And then also very round backrest, nice upholstered and with really nice soft fabrics we have chosen from Quadrat and Sarco, for example, for this collection, which works very well together with the lines, the decorated lines of the legs.
Yeah, you're right, because it's I was listening to you about the element, the pipe, and it's true that when you see because we have to tell to our friend that we have a chair, a lounge chair, and a set of tables, of side tables on different. But if you see all of them together, what impressed me a lot is on one side, you are right, they are truly elegant and they are quite simply sophisticated. They have a kind of sexiness which is related to the fact that you immediately enter in touch with the chair and you understand the character, no? Let's say the soul of the chair. Let's say.
Yeah, they all look different. If you can have it with the kind of golden finish, but you can have it also black. So you can create different characters for the chair, and I think that's interesting. And another fact is, if you imagine you enter a restaurant, because I think it's a perfect project or chair for restaurants or hospitality projects or hotels. You enter the room of the restaurants with a lot of tables, and you normally see the chairs from the back. And there you have those very delicate, nice legs going up to the backrest. And I think this gives a very nice impression also when you go to the table with the chair. So the backside is very important of a chair, I want to say.
I completely agree with you. It's true that when you enter in a restaurant,
also like jewelry piece, a very fine one.
You're right. You're completely right, because it's true that when you enter in a restaurant, the first things of the chair you see is the backside. Rarely you see by side, never in front. No?
You never see it from the front, but of course, at the beginning, as a designer, you sketch it from the front view, from the perspective. But you also have to imagine how it looks from the back, because this is always the first connection to a chair in a restaurant.
It's fantastic. I completely agree with you. And we must say that the line is not straight, but it's going to bend slightly. And what I like very much is that those elements has a very strong kind of autonomy. I mean, they have their own character. When you see the tables or when you see the chair, you suddenly realize that you have a kind of distinction between the elements and the metal structure, which is keeping the seating or the table, which is on marble, which is very thin. But what it come out very strongly is the kind of the personality of those elements, of those extruded aluminum legs. Was it?
With the table, it looks like floating tables. You know, the tabletop is very thin. It's like floating on this very thin, legs. And which is very strong. And the other element to me, which was impressive, and you're right, you were saying it before, about the textile issues, because the dialogue of colors and of tone between the kind of the materiality of the textile, which are very soft and very raw somehow, and the shyness of the legs is very strong. No, so you have this kind of a very interesting physical and sensual interaction between the two elements, which gives a very
good vibe, let's say. I wouldn't explain differently.
Yes. Yeah, and I think with the Blume collection, we offer the interior architect a huge possibility to get different characters. What I said, of course, it's about the fabric. Is it a velvet? If it's a linen, or is it something with a structure or something with a pattern? And then you have the possibilities to have the different colors for the legs.
Okay.
So this makes it very interesting to play with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would like to broaden a little bit our discussion, because I mean, Blume's starting point is at the center. Your work is at the center, but Blume is part of a larger part of work you are doing. And to me, you're always looking for something very elegant and sophisticated. I mean, which is a kind of a, I don't know, it reminds me, I'm mistaken, but it reminds me somehow some beautiful elements of the Biedermeier design, which is very gentle and very sophisticated, but in the meantime, very silentful. No? So it's a kind of timeless element. It's a way to resist it to consumption somehow.
Yeah. Maybe my work, because I'm really looking for a kind of simple elegance in the product, and which is also somehow timeless. And I think it's always a balance between the beauty and the aesthetics and also the function. So the function, of course, this is very German also, the engineering. And there, the guys of Petrali did a great job how to fix the elements together. So this is really incredible how they did it. But for me, it's also really to play with the color, with the material, with the surface, which is more Italian, I must say. Yeah. So I learned it over the years working with Italian brands. So it brings both together, and I'm very happy now with the result.
Well, you have a long experience of branding, of working with Italian brands. As far as I know, you started with one of the Italian brands very early. So it's you go back and forth from Germany to Italy, which is a kind of typical from any European designer to come back to Italy somehow, no? Which is always your relationship with Italy, and how do you leave Italy from this point of view, as a designer or also as a person?
No, well, it's always fantastic. I remember very well when I went in the last year of university, 2007. I went with a friend. He's now here, Reinhard. He's in Colombia. He just wrote here. We went together to Salone Satellite, 2007. No, 9. It was 9. Sorry, 2007. I was the first time at university, and then, but 2009 we were presenting together at Salone Satellite with Marvel Griffin, and there I presented my bell table. So it's like 11 years ago, and it was a fantastic time. But at that time, of course, we slept in a little kind of garage in Tortona, and yeah, you know, and it was completely different. Going to the Salone Satellite in the morning, to stand in the 16 square meter booth, to wait for journalists, for people to come. But it was a fantastic time to go in the afternoon to some parties, to Barbasso, and to experience this international design world, which is getting together. And I think this is something which I miss maybe the most, that there's no Salone at the moment. Yeah, and I think this is something I really miss. Yes.
It's very close to my house.
No, I think this is something I really miss about the...
Well, next year.
Oh, really?
It's so easy. I mean, next year we will have a fantastic Negroni Barbasso. I mean, with the
we have to.
With the ice cube.
We hope for next year, because this is really missing, to meet friends, to meet colleagues, to meet all the people from around the world. So I think that's really unique in Milano at the Salone.
Tell me, another thing I was imagining looking to your works, from the young bell table to 118 chair to long lamp to a lot of things you designed, which I really loved. It's the centrality of craftsmanship, no? So, which in Italy is said fatto ad arte, well done, no? Which is the same, no? Fatto ad arte means something you love with. You have a very physical and strong intellectual and physical relationship with what you do. The craftsmanship is awareness and love of what you do, and to do something to resist and to be beautiful and to change people's life, no, in a very comfortable way. So, which is your idea about working with craftsmanship in 2020? Because it's for me, it's a very important element still today to be central in the work of a designer.
You know, when I started in the early 2000, it was really a lot also with colleagues to think about new materials, new technologies, about really the future of design. But on the other hand, I was living and still live in Offenbach, which is the German city for leather production. But the whole leather production disappeared from this town. So there was Montblanc, for example, one of the biggest producers, or Goldfall, very traditional German companies. Some of them don't exist anymore, or others like Montblanc, they moved somewhere else with the production. So the city somehow lost its identity, the soul, the material or the craft, which connected all the families. And for me, this was really the starting point to look into crafts, to consider craftsmanship for my work. So this was the reason I thought about glass blowing and metal spinning, like with the bell table. And I think cultural-wise, if you think about cities like Venice, you think immediately about glass. If you think about Stuttgart in Germany, you think about the car industry with Porsche and Mercedes. And every area or every city has its specific crafts. If they are in plants, or if they are in fruits, or in textile, or in wood making, or Friuli, Udine is chair district. So there, in the past, most of the chairs came from that area.
Okay.
And that's why really I'm interested in it, because it's also my responsibility and also my social sustainability to work with those people together. And for me, what I said at the beginning, they're really my heroes, because they are waking up every morning at, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock, going to workshops, start glass blowing. Even in summer when we have 40 degrees nowadays, it's maybe 60 degrees in the workshops, and they are producing my designs and designs of my colleagues. And this is really amazing.
I know, I think it's very interesting what you say. And I love the idea of considering social sustainability as a part of your work, because I know that you love traveling as many designers. I mean, because a good designer usually travels a lot, collect a lot, feed themselves in completely other worlds. I know that you have been to Colombia many times. You have a very strong relationship there, and I know that you are a obsessive collectors. A lot of designer friends of mine are obsessive collectors as well, with their boxes, with their elements. So can you tell me more about?
The shelves are full.
No, it's incredible. I love it. You know, since I'm a fan of obsessions, I think that this kind of good obsession is fantastic, because it feeds creativity, no? So can you tell me more about traveling and dreaming design, let's say, and working on design? Because when you travel, you don't work, but in a way, you feed yourself, you exchange, and you listen a lot, you look a lot. So which has been the more challenging experiences you have in the last years?
Yeah, well, actually, I think traveling is a huge privilege. When I grew up with my parents, we did a lot of camping around Europe, from Norway to Italy. So it was always Europe. And then suddenly with design, I had the opportunity to go to Taiwan or to Japan, to Colombia for the project every year. And this is, I think, fascinating. And it's a huge source of inspiration. And as a designer, you really have to use all your senses in general. The people should use their senses even more than in the past. But we lose a lot using our senses, because we have the tablets and we are just watching on screens. But if you go to a country, you have to smell it, you have to taste it, you have to listen to the sounds of the motorcycles or the birds or the nature. So, and this is the same with workshops. I love the smell of workshops, of a metal workshop, of a wooden workshop. This is always fascinating. This gives me so much energy and inspiration. I really want to get all of it, eat all of it, and take it home. And then it's my source of inspiration, my instinct, and my thoughts, and I bring it on paper. And so traveling is always fascinating. And of course, and if I go to Colombia, for example, with the projects, so there was a problem with the connection, I think.
Probably, but you was telling about Colombia. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, with Colombia, that's really nice, because I had a friend, Reinhard, who's living in Colombia, but I never have been there, and I didn't go actually to Google or something to check about the country. I really went there with Anna Maria from the brand to discover the country and to understand with a carte blanche, with white paper, and I think that's the best. And it's not like going somewhere with a tourist guide or sitting in a bus to go from one step to the other. We really experience the families who are doing crafts. And there you can find still crafts which are not existing anymore in Europe, like rug making or some pottery things, or weaving objects, which is more in Asia or in Colombia. And I think this is really fascinating. And to sit down with the people and to work on something, just starting to work with them and then give them challenges. Think about a different style, a different material, different scale. And I think most of the craftsmen really I met, they are really open-minded to do something different, and they really appreciate that someone is coming, and I'm so happy and privileged to work with them together.
Yeah. Well, every time the creative process is a travel between humanity and the sources and challenges and places and senses. You're right when you say that we have to get out of the highest domination, no?
Yes. Yeah, at the end, everyone should use it. We should be much more, yes. No, the work in Colombia, you mean?
No, well, in general, because I think that a designer
Yes.
try to use all the senses when they work. You know, it's not only a matter of I see something I like and that's it. Is
Yes, sure, absolutely. And on the other hand, it's also important to understand and to tell the story where product is coming from, what is the background of the product, who's producing the product. So it's I think much more really to tell people, like on this call now as well on the talk, to talk about how a product is developed, where is it produced, how is it produced, with what kind of materials, where are the materials or sources are coming from. I think this is more and more important to tell the people.
I completely agree with you, because you know, my point every time I have the chance to discuss with designer, the point is, why again another chair? No? Because I think it's the typical question to do yourself. No, why another bottle? Why another glass? Why? And then you realize that we have a kind of love affair with each object, no? And each object enter in our life, and it's a kind of very mystical relationship, very physical and very deep relationship. Every good object, if well done and well product, can make a positive effect on people's life. I completely agree on this point. What do you think about?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And yeah.
And well, so just to close to our conversation, because we are getting to close to the end, can you tell us more about when you start working with the Pedrali people inside the factory? Because the first time you visited, no? Okay. And then you start a discussion about what to do. I'm sure that it takes a lot of time to enter in the concept, but then you finally enter in the developing the concept, working on the model, working with the craftsmen there, with the people. And I'm sure that for you, the Pedrali factory was a kind of a playground, because they have such a huge, amazing machinery that you can play with, that it was a challenge for you. So how was the relationship between you and the challenge offered by Pedrali in this case?
Yeah, well, you're right. At the beginning, you have more or less your freedom. You're in your studio. So I'm here in Offenbach with my team. So I don't do everything alone. So I have an incredible team behind me
I can imagine.
who work on the products. And we came up with the idea of extrusion of the chair. We did some visualization, rendering a PDF. And then I went there with the assistant to present it to Monica and Giuseppe, and also Victoria, who took over later than the product engineering, the development. And they really liked the idea of this elegant legs, to think about the legs, you know, not just about the shape or the pillow or the seat, to think really about the legs. It's not just a simple tube, it's something very special. And then we started with the dining table. And then in the process, Giuseppe asked me, yeah, can we have also a lounge chair? And I thought, oh, yes, well, we can work on the lounge chair. We sent you next week the drawings and everything. And then we came up with the table. So there's one extrusion, so you can extrude it how long you want to do it. And so you can do tables, you can do a lounge chair, a chair. So you just have to cut the extrusion. So with the tables, it was also easy. So it was clear actually to do it, but they asked me to, because I was a little bit shy. Okay, I'm happy with the dining chair, but then they asked me, or gave me the opportunity to work on the collection. We're still working, so it might grow also. And this is very fantastic. You know, you start, and then during the process, and you know better, it can grow. And then with Victoria and her team, they really developed the connection, how to get the legs together with the crossbars under the seat, how to assemble it, how to think about the finishes. So it was a fantastic dialogue. You know, it's always a conversation, like we said at the beginning. It's about the relationship. It's also the dialogue between me and Victoria and the Petrali team. And this was really perfect. And we got samples with UPS. And unfortunately, because of the COVID-19, I couldn't go there the last month to see the final prototypes, but I got images, and tomorrow finally the first one will arrive also here, so I can test it. But I got amazing images and very good feedback from friends who saw it already, so I'm very happy.
The feedback is very good. I mean, for me, I was very impressed. And tomorrow you will hug your chair. You will be very happy with that.
Exactly.
Okay. So
no, it's always the best time, really. I love the process of engineering, of developing, to see the prototypes, to change the prototype, to sketch on the pillows and to change. But of course, to see the final product, to present it on the fair, or now to the audience here on Instagram, it's totally lovely to talk about something you spend so much energy, put energy in it, spend time with the team, and I'm very happy to finally present the first parts of the family.
Fantastic. I agree with you. It's the best moment because it's the beginning of something else. So it's the first phase is finished, then you have in front of you the product, and the new phase is coming up. So let's opt to what we will party your next phase in 2021 furniture fair in Milano for sure, and also in Barbasso together, and probably using
for the Necroni.
Yeah, course. Absolutely. The first one is mine. Don't worry, I will.
Okay.
And well, it was a great pleasure to meet you, to talk about Blume, but also to talk about your work. And I'm looking forward to see you in Milano next year or soon, as the first time you will come, we'll have a good drink together.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very
much. Okay, cheers.
Okay,
Ciao.
thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.